Peter Yarrow. Peter Yarrow, born May 31, 1938, is an American singer and songwriter who found fame for being in the 1960s folk trio Peter, Paul and Mary. Yarrow co-wrote with Leonard Lipton one of the group's best-known hits, Puff, the Magic Dragon. He is also a political activist and has supported causes that range from opposition to the Vietnam War to support for school anti-bullying programs. Early life and family. Peter Yarrow was born in Manhattan, the son of Vera Weisbrod, née Vera Bertikoff and Bernard Yarrow. His parents were educated Ukrainian Jewish immigrants, whose families had settled in Providence, Rhode Island. Bernard Yarrow, 1899–1973, attended the Jagiellonian University, Krakow, Poland, and the Odessa University, Odessa, Ukraine, before emigrating to the United States in 1922 at the age of 23. He anglicized his surname from Yaroshevitz to Yarrow, obtained a Bachelor of Science degree from Columbia University in 1925, where he joined Phi Sigma Delta fraternity, and in 1928 graduated from Columbia Law School. He then maintained a private law practice in New York City until 1938, when he was appointed an assistant district attorney under the then district attorney, Thomas East. Dewey. In 1944, he was recruited into the Office of Strategic Services, where he served with distinction. After the war, Bernard Yarrow joined Sullivan and Cromwell, the Dulles Brothers law firm. He was a founding board member of the National Committee for a Free Europe, an anti-communist organization. In 1952, he became a senior vice president of the CIA-funded Radio Free Europe, an organization he helped to found. Yarrow's mother Vera, 1904–1991, who had come to America at age 3, became a speech and drama teacher at New York's Julia Richmond High School for Girls. She and Bernard were divorced in 1943 when their son Peter was 5, and Vera subsequently married Harold Weisbrod, the executive director of the Central Synagogue in Manhattan. Bernard Yarrow married his wartime London OSS partner Sylvia Tim and converted to Protestantism. Peter Yarrow spent the summers of 1951 and 1952 at Interlochen's music camp. Peter graduated second in his class among male students with a physics prize from New York's High School of Music and Art, where he had studied painting. He was accepted at Cornell University as a physics major, but soon switched majors, graduating with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology in 1959. Among his Cornell classmates were Thomas Pynchon, Richard Fatia, and David Shetzline. Music career. Yarrow began singing in public during his last year at Cornell while participating in Harold Thompson's popular American folk literature course, colloquially known on campus as Romp and Stomp. The course was a highlight of Lateman's 1,950 student life at Cornell, Yarrow reminisced, and the ability to sing and play guitar was a prerequisite for enrollment. Thompson would lecture on a topic for 20 or 30 minutes, and afterwards a student would sing songs related to his theme. The experience of performing in front of a large audience was a thrilling one for Yarrow, who discovered he loved it. He branched out to lead community sings on weekends. Upon graduation, Yarrow played in 4 clubs in New York City, appeared on the CBS television show Folkson USA, and performed at the Newport Folk Festival, where he met manager and musical impresario Albert Grossman. One day, the two were at Israel Young's Folklore Center in Greenwich Village discussing Grossman's idea for a new group that would be an updated version of the Weavers for the baby boom generation, with a crossover appeal of the Kingston Trio. Yarrow noticed a picture of Mary Travers on the wall and asked Grossman who she was. "That's Mary Travers," Grossman said. "She'd be good if you could get her to work." The lanky, blonde Kentucky-born Travers was well connected in Greenwich Village folk-song circles. While still a high school student at the progressive Elizabeth Irwin High School, she had been picked up by Elizabeth Irwin's chorus leader Robert de Cormier to sing in a trio called the Song Swappers, backing up Pete Seeger in the 1955 Folkways Uppy reissue of the Almanac Singers, the Talking Union, and 2 other albums. As well as performing twice with Seeger at Carnegie Hall, Travers had also played a folk singer in a short-lived Broadway play called The Next President, starring satirist Mort Sault, but she was known to be painfully introverted and loath to sing professionally. To draw Travers out, Mr. Yarrow went to M.S. Travers' apartment on MacDougall Street across from the Gaslight, one of the principal folk clubs. They harmonized on Miner's Lifeguard, a Union song, and decided that their voices blended to fill out the trio. M.S. Travers suggested Noel Stuckey, a friend doing folk music and stand-up comedy at the Gaslight. They chose the catchy Peter, Paul and Mary as the name for their group, since Noel Stuckey's middle name was Paul, and rehearsed intensively for 6 months, touring outside New York before debuting in 1961 as a polished act at the Bitter End nightclub in Greenwich Village. There, the singers quickly developed a following and signed a contract with Warner Brothers. Warner released Peter, Paul and Mary's Lemon Tree as a single in early 1962. The trio then released If I Had a Hammer, a song written in 1949 by Pete Seeger and Lee Hayes to protest the imprisonment of Harlem City Councilman Benjamin J. Davis, Jr. under the Smith Act. If I Had a Hammer garnered 2 Grammy Awards in 1962. The trio's first album, the eponymous Peter, Paul and Mary, remained in the top 10 for 10 months and in the top 20 for 2 years. It sold more than 2 million copies. The group toured extensively and recorded numerous albums, both live and in the studio. In June 1963, Peter, Paul and Mary released a 7th single of Blowin' in the Wind by the then relatively unknown Bob Dylan, who was also managed by Grossman. Blowin' in the Wind sold 300,000 copies in the first week of release. By August 17, it was number 2 on the Billboard Pop chart, with sales exceeding 1 million copies. Yarrow recalled that when he told Dylan he would make more than $5,000 from the publishing rights, Dylan was speechless. On August 28, 1963, Peter, Paul and Mary appeared on stage with the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. as historic March on Washington, where the performance of Blowin' in the Wind established it as a civil rights anthem. The version also spent weeks on Billboard's easy listening chart. By 1964, the 26-year-old Yarrow had joined the board of the Newport Folk Festival, where he had performed as an intern just 4 years earlier. Yarrow's songwriting helped to create some of Peter, Paul and Mary's best-known songs, including Puff, The Magic Dragon, Days Done, Light One Candle, and The Great Mandala. As a member of the trio, he earned a 1996 Emmy nomination for the great performances Special Lifelines Live, a highly acclaimed celebration of folk music with their musical mentors, contemporaries, and a new generation of singer-songwriters. Yarrow was instrumental in founding the New Folks concert series at both the Newport Folk Festival and the Keville Folk Festival. His work at Keville has been called his most important achievement in this arena. Yarrow co-wrote and produced Home Between Two Lovers, a #1 hit for Mary McGregor. He also produced 3 CBS TV specials based on Puff, The Magic Dragon, which earned an Emmy nomination for him. In 1978, Yarrow organized Survival Sunday, an anti-nuclear benefit, and after a period of separation, he was once again joined by Stuckey and Travers. Yarrow and his daughter, Bethany Yarrow, often performed together. Together with cellist Rufus Cappadocia, they formed the trio Peter, Bethany, and Rufus. They released the CD Puff and Other Family Classics. In 2008, the musical special Peter, Bethany, and Rufus' Spirit of Woodstock, featuring a live performance of the band, aired on public television. Yarrow portrayed leftist intellectual Ira Mandelstam in the 2015 film While We're Young. Social activism. Yarrow has long been an activist for social and political causes. What he did was not always popular. According to the New York Times, Operation Respect. In 2000, in an effort to combat school bullying, Yarrow helped start Operation Respect, a non-profit organization that brings to children in schools and camps a curriculum of tolerance and respect for each other's differences. The project began as a result of Yarrow and his daughter Bethany and his son Christopher having heard the song Don't Laugh at Me written by Steve Seskin and Alan Shamblin at the Keville Folk Festival. In March 2008, Yarrow told Reuters, "Other activism. Yarrow's leadership in the campaign to free Soviet Jewry inspired another generation. Other song Light One Candle, Rabbi Alison Berkman Van Rohe." In 2005, Yarrow performed in Ho Chi Minh City a concert to benefit the Vietnam Association of Victims of Agent Orange. Yarrow pleaded with the Vietnamese for forgiveness of the United States. Yarrow serves on the board of directors of the Connecticut Hospice. On November 1, 2008, Yarrow performed across New York City for volunteers who worked for the presidential campaign of Senator Barack Obama. On October 3, 2011, Yarrow, his son, and his daughter made an appearance at Tacoti Park during the Occupy Wall Street protests, playing songs such as We Shall Not Be Moved and a variation of Puff the Magic Dragon. Yarrow is a member of Braver Angels. On April 3, 2021, he participated in an online interfaith passive recital hosted by the organization. Personal life. Yarrow has cited Judaism as one of the roots of his liberal views. While campaigning for 1968 presidential candidate Eugene McCarthy, Yarrow met McCarthy's niece, Mary Beth McCarthy, in Wisconsin. They were married in October 1969 in Wilmer, Minnesota. Paul Stuckey wrote wedding song There Is Love as his gift for their wedding and first performed it at St. Mary's Church in Wilmer. They had 2 children, but later divorced. In December 2000, Yarrow's Larvae acoustic guitar was stolen on an airplane flight. In early 2005, fans spotted the guitar on eBay. The Federal Bureau of Investigation recovered it in Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, and returned it to Yarrow. He did not press charges, as the person it was recovered from had not stolen it. Yarrow performed the world premiere of the colonoscopy song on the CBS early morning program The Early Show on March 9, 2010. Yarrow has also acknowledged being an alcoholic and sought treatment for the disease. He considers himself in recovery. A longtime resident of New York City, Yarrow has also had a vacation home in Telluride, Colorado. Yarrow's son, Christopher, is a visual artist who in the late 2000s owned an emporium in Portland, Oregon, named The Monkey and the Rat. Criminal conviction and pardon. In 1970, Yarrow was convicted and served 3 months in prison for taking improper liberties with a 14-year-old girl who went with her 17-year-old sister to Yarrow's hotel room in Washington, D.C. seeking an autograph. Yarrow answered the door naked and made sexual advances that stopped short of intercourse. Yarrow served 3 months of a 1 to 3 year prison sentence. He apologized for the incident, saying that it was an era of real indiscretion and mistakes by categorically male performers. I was one of them. I got nailed. I was wrong. I'm sorry for it. Yarrow was granted a presidential pardon by Jimmy Carter on January 19, 1981, the day before Carter's presidency ended. For decades, Yarrow avoided mention of the sexual assault, but by the early 2000s, it became a campaign issue for politicians he supports. In 2004, U.S. Representative Martin Frost of Texas, a Democrat, cancelled a fundraising appearance with Yarrow after his opponent ran a radio advertisement about Yarrow's offense. In 2013, Republican politicians in New York called on Democratic congressional candidate Martha Robertson to cancel a scheduled fundraiser with Yarrow. In 2019, he was disinvited from a folk music festival when the organizers were informed of his conviction. In May 2021, The Washington Post wrote that pardoned by Carter, perhaps the only one in U.S. history wiping away a conviction for a sexual offense against a child, escaped scrutiny when it happened. It was granted just hours before the American hostages in Iran were freed, which captured headlines for weeks. The same article details other allegations of sexual assault of minors made against Yarrow. Awards and honors. Yarrow received the Allard Calvin Lowenstein Award in 1982 for his remarkable efforts in advancing the causes of human rights, peace, and freedom. In 1995, the Miami Jewish Federation recognized Yarrow's continual efforts by awarding a Stickon-Olam Award for his part in helping to repair the world. Yarrow was awarded the Kate Wolf Memorial Award by the World Folk Music Association in 1993. In 2003, a congressional resolution recognized Yarrow's achievements and those of Operation Respect. Solo. 1972 Peter U.S. No. 163 1973 That's Enough for Me U.S. No. 203 1975 Hard Times 1975 Love Songs 2010 The Peter Yarrow Sing-Along Special. Peter, Bethany and Rufus. 2008 Puff and Other Family Classics. Other contributions. Jim Stannard Color Outside the Lines 2020. Vocals on Songs Home in Arkansas, along with Bethany Yarrow Lazarus 1971, Producer Lazarus of Fool's Paradise 1973, Producer Camafusin Hill with Me 1984, Songwriter Cherry Blossom.